I don't want to set the world on fire.
Hi everyone, this is Violet Irwin. Thanks for tuning in to another one of my Car Confessionals. I wanted to record a quick one today because there's a lot of talk in the news right now about gun control and all of this other mess because of what happened in Florida. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you're aware of what happened in Florida, which was another school shooting, similar to Columbine or previous school shootings, wherein there were several casualties. Teenager who was likely mentally ill is the one who did it, and you know, obviously the response is this instant gun control, gun control, gun control, and then the right's like, no, put more guns in everyone's hands now, and you know, it's just become this thing where whenever something like this happens, instead of focusing on the horror of it and trying to learn about the victims and trying to know what we can do to help the victims' families, everyone kind of gets on this immediate argument about the Second Amendment and gun control. And while I have a lot of thoughts about that, especially as it pertains to this issue, I think that that argument has been somewhat beaten to death, I guess, over time on the internet, and I think it's pretty clear that that argument actually is winning out in the end, because statistically speaking and logically speaking and in terms of philosophy, the argument that American citizens should be disarmed is just not there. It's just not viable. It doesn't work. People aren't buying it anymore. So I do think that ultimately the Second Amendment is winning out in that battle. But the only reason I even bring up that battle right now is to say that I'm not going to focus on it. Because what I think is really important now in this day and age, and something that I think is not commented on enough outside of individuals like Antonia Okafor, the Second Amendment actually benefits women more than any other group. I honestly believe that. And there's 3 reasons why I believe that, and I'll go through them quickly today because this isn't going to be one of my 40-minute kind of philosophical car confessionals. This is going to be short and sweet for you guys. So let's go through the 3 reasons why the Second Amendment is the most important for women. The first is, it's the great equalizer between men and women. So all of these feminist types want to say, oh yeah, we're just as good as men. In fact, we're exactly the same as men, and we can do whatever men do, and yada, yada, yada. But really, what actually gets women to that place where we have a power level that's the same as men, where we can't get taken down or physically held down by men, is when there's a gun, okay? And obviously there's some people who are gonna come back and be like, oh, if you had a knife, that would be fine. Here's the thing about a knife. If a man is trying to pin you down as a woman like myself, I'm 5'4", you know, 115 pounds or so, I have no chance against a burly 6 foot, 300-pound guy. It doesn't matter if I have a knife, right? But if I have a gun, it doesn't matter if he's 300 pounds, it doesn't matter if he's 500 pounds. No man's gonna keep running once he gets shot in the thigh, right? So, for all these women who want to talk about, let's empower women, let's make women strong, let's make them just as strong as men, they should be putting Glocks in those women's hands, right? Because that is what actually empowers you. That's what makes you equal to a man strength-wise. Because I'm sorry, ladies, our biology is just not such that we were endowed with the big muscles. We were endowed with other really important things like compassion and our caring spirit and, frankly, our brain and our way that we relate to each other and the ability to give birth and all of that. But the whole brute strength thing, outside of a couple of exceptions, it's really not something that we women have. So the only way that we can match men in strength is with a gun. It's the great equalizer. And all of these women who say they want equality between the sexes, put a Glock in your hand. Get a Smith & Wesson, you know? That's what makes you equal, okay? Reason number 2 is that the Me Too movement is just totally misled and has no idea what they're talking about. And this is somewhat related to what I discussed before with the great equalizer. But it's a little different in that a lot of women today claim that we live in a rape culture, which isn't true. Number 1, it's not true that we live in a rape culture. In fact, we punish rapists almost as harshly as murderers. I mean, there's there's no one more vilified than a rapist. I mean, I would actually say that murderers get away with more than rapists, especially once they're in prison, right? Murderers, people kind of might, you know, be scared of you, but if you're a rapist in prison, you know, you better open your back door, as they say. We don't really have a rape culture in America, but to the extent that these bitches want to believe that we do, put a Glock in your hand. Once again, instead of saying me too, hashtag me too, say hashtag not me. As women, if we really were facing a rape culture like kind of Sweden is right now, I'm sorry Sweden, but really you guys are in trouble. You're the rape capital of the West. You gotta do something about that, okay? So if we really were in a rape culture, an impending rape culture, the answer is not to disarm innocent women. Isn't that nuts? Okay, all these bitches who came out about, I don't know, since the Harvey Weinstein thing, people who were coming out about Aziz Ansari and Dustin Hoffman, and people getting upset because someone like slapped their butt 10 years ago or something. It's like, okay, if you're worried that all these men are just waiting to rape you, okay, the answer is to have a pistol in your hand. If someone comes on to you in a bar and you don't like it, throw a glass of wine in his face, right? If he keeps coming, maybe shove him off. If he keeps coming, take out a pistol. You think he's gonna keep coming? No, no. Similarly, in a culture where women actively embraced concealed carry and having pistols, this would not be an issue at all, okay? Because men, right, when they're looking for someone to force themselves on, and this is true, like if you think about predators in the wild, looking for, like a lion looking at a field of wildebeest, right? He's looking for the weak wildebeest. He's looking for the wildebeest that's not gonna fight back that hard, okay? And it's the same thing in real life, because rapists are predators. So a rapist, in this instance, if they know that they're in a county, okay, like they're walking down the street in a county where like 50% of the women there have a concealed carry license, my question to you is, do you think that guy's gonna risk trying to rape one of those women? Like, what are the odds of that, okay? If he's got a 50-50 shot of getting a bullet in his body somewhere, right? Why is he gonna risk that? Why wouldn't he go over to some town where guns are banned and bitches can't even carry pepper spray like I couldn't when I lived in Boston? That's true. You're not allowed to carry mace or pepper spray walking around in Boston as a woman. It's like, oh, so you just want women to walk around unarmed in a big city with no way to protect themselves. What really drives me nuts, it's like all of these Hollywood, New York, DC media types are all, oh, like me too, hashtag me too, like I'm gonna wear black in solidarity. It's like, you bitches should be going to the shooting range, okay? If there's this rampant rape situation happening in Hollywood, y'all should be training yourselves up to defend yourselves. All of this women just wallowing in self-pity about how weak we are, I'm over it, okay? Women should not be wallowing. We should not be getting together and saying, oh, we've all been victims. We're not victims, okay? Being a woman does not make you a victim. Being a woman makes you powerful. And a woman with a gun is like one of the most powerful things that exists, okay? Because a woman with a gun, first of all, she's not stupid enough to have been indoctrinated into all this other crap. But more importantly, she respects herself enough to have learned how to defend herself, right? That's the most empowered woman that there is. And no rapist, no, you know, butt fondler is gonna get away with it if you're packing heat. So no more of this hashtag me too stuff. It's time for hashtag not me. And I'm included in that group because let me tell you, if someone tried to physically assault me, I wouldn't be holding my tongue on that and then coming out 10 years later about it. That guy would have already had a glass of vodka in his face and maybe a slap. And in worser case scenarios, had a pistol pulled in his face. So, women out there, you don't need to put up with men. You know, I don't think there is a rape culture, but to the extent that men are hitting on you inappropriately, you don't have to deal with that, okay? You've got a Second Amendment. And the third thing, and I promise I'll get through this quick, I said this would be a short video. The third reason is the changing cultural demographics in the West. Right now, as I mentioned kind of briefly when I touched on Sweden, okay, there's a huge influx of migrants and refugees and immigrants and whatever into the West, okay? Some of these people really do need refuge, are fighting for their lives in effect, you know, leaving war-torn countries and all that stuff. But that's actually not the majority of them. The majority of them are able-bodied, very, very masculine men who are coming in with no intention of changing their values or how they're gonna behave or anything like that, okay? So, with this knowledge, we have to make certain preparations, right? And here's another thing I want to point out. While we have this huge influx of men who are super hyper masculine, right? Like, so masculine that they're like, bitch, submit, right? Like, so masculine that it's like, we'll have multiple wives and shit, or we'll make you dress in black from head to toe, and you know what I mean? Like, we'll fuck with your clit, okay? But while you're a baby, like, little girl, right? These are some men who have embraced all of the bad parts of masculinity and then some, okay? Meanwhile, we live in this culture where women, right, have been telling men that to get women, they should basically be feminine. Now, the issue with this is that it's not actually true, okay? But men don't know this. Men are just going for the women's cues on this. They don't know how to read women. I mean, a lot of them don't know how to read women even when women directly tell them what they want, okay? So we have all these men who become feminized in the hopes of getting laid. Sorry, it's true. And so while we do have good men in our culture, they're not actually the majority right now. They're the minority, and it's sad. But to put these two ideas together, we've got an influx of the very masculinity that feminists hate into this culture, okay? Not the good parts of masculinity, right? We've got an influx of the bad parts of masculinity coming into our culture, while our own men are being greatly emasculated because they're trying to kowtow to the crazy bitch-ass feminists that kinda, you know, run the show because they have pussies and they haven't realized that they actually are the ones who are in power of that situation. But I bring this up because if we have a generation of men who, the majority of which are kind of pussified and aren't ready to fight for this country and to fight for our liberties and to fight for us as women to wear our hair down and to be free and to pursue our own dreams, then we as women might have to take up part of this role, okay? And it's not something that I'm particularly happy about, but as we see the culture changing, we have to prepare. We have to prepare for what's coming. And what's coming is a wave of masculinity, the likes of which we have not seen in our lifetimes. My generation, we have not seen this kind of masculinity, especially in this kind of very angry, violent manifestation. It is my call to women, for all of us, to learn how to use a pistol, how to use it well, and to get our concealed carry permits so that when we face someone who's trying to assault us, like I talked about in the previous point, but not just assault us that way, but maybe assault us because we're Christians, or because we're, I don't know, some people who are atheists, that's still a problem for, you know, some of these radicals, or just because we're Americans, or because, you know, we have promiscuous lifestyles that other people don't approve of. You know, there's all kinds of reasons why we might be attacked from individuals from different cultures, and we want to be able to protect ourselves. We as women do not want to be sitting ducks when these demographic tides turn. And we don't have to be. That's the amazing thing. We have the Second Amendment in this country. Our founders were so smart. They were so smart, because as fucked up as shit has gotten in America, which it has, okay, and I talk very positively about it, but as a libertarian I also have problems with it. But I mean, thank God that our founders had the sense to put the Second Amendment in there, because the Second Amendment protects the First. Without the Second Amendment, there's no way for us to defend our freedom of speech or defend our freedom of religion or any of that. It's gone. We as women, we cannot keep attacking the Second Amendment. We benefit from it the most. It is the only way for us to equalize ourselves with men. It's the only way for us if we are worried about rape and sexual and assault, to fully defend ourselves in big cities. And it's also the only way that, should we have a huge influx of barbarians, quote unquote, come into our land, when we're in a position where our men are weak, that we will be able to protect our children, okay? Because that's the thing as women. Our task is not just to, you know, compete with men. Our task is to raise the next generation and to protect them. And right now, the next generation is in trouble. The next generation and the generation after that and so on. These children of ours are in danger of going through some of the horrific barbarities of history. It's important for women especially to understand how important the Second Amendment is for them, because right now so many feminists of my generation don't understand its value at all, and are willing to retweet articles from the New York Times that basically just say, not basically, literally say, repeal the Second Amendment as a headline. I just want these women to understand that they're hurting themselves the most when they advocate for that. And for the record, the last comment of this video before I let you guys go, thanks so much for listening. For the record, my right to have a pistol and to bear arms, that's God-given, okay? That exists whether or not there was a document having it in writing. That exists whether or not some morons in Congress amend that document to take it away. It exists regardless. So if the government wants to confiscate my guns, it's gonna have to do it from my cold dead fingers. And with that, I will end this car confessional. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate the support that you guys provide for this channel. Please like and subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.
I just want to start a flame in your heart.